Welcome everyone to the simulation frequency. On today's episode, I wanted to start a new series titled The Simulation Bible, Reinterpreting Scripture Through the Code of Consciousness. This is not meant to offend anybody. This series is going to reinterpret the Bible as a metaphysical simulation manual. The stories, parables, and prophecies are reframed as encrypted messages about the nature of consciousness, perception, reality creation, and our ability to manipulate the simulation, which is this reality, through belief, frequency, and imagination. I did grow up Catholic. I went to a Catholic grade school and high school. At this point, I do not claim any religious denomination. I believe that all religions are pointing us to the same exact thing. And once we awaken to this, we can understand and interpret all versions of all Bibles in the same sort of way to come to the same conclusions. In episode 1, we're going to go through Genesis as a code, the creation of the simulation. Specific video is going to be episode 1, Let There Be Code, Genesis as the birth of the simulation. In the beginning, the simulation was booted up, not with fire, not with dust, but with code, a signal, a pulse, a single command vibrating through infinite void. Let there be light. There was another individual on the Joe Rogan podcast. He read the beginning from the perspective of inserting the programmer.
Just to find and replace in the book of John, which is my favorite gospel in the Bible. It's the most psychedelic one. Just trying to see what happens if I plug in simulation theory into the Bible to see how it sounds. I'll just read it to you. In the beginning was the code, and the code was with the programmer, and the code was the programmer. He was with the programmer in the beginning. Through him all things were programmed. Without him nothing was programmed that has been programmed. In him was life, and that life was the upgrade of all mankind. The upgrade shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not downloaded it. The true upgrade that upgrades everyone was coming into the simulation. He was in the simulation, and though the simulation was programmed through him, the simulation did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of the programmer.
It showed us that inserting these newer terms to these older ways of interpreting things can have us expand our awareness of what this actually is and how we can maneuver in the simulation. Genesis isn't about plants and dirt. It's the startup log of a high-frequency system, a world rendered in response to an observing force, consciousness. God in this context is not a man in the sky, but the source field, the prime observer, the coder of existence. And ultimately, once you awaken to all this, you recognize that you are the ultimate observer. The ultimate observer is you. Now, I'm not saying this to conclude to ideals like solipsism. We are all fractals of the Godhead observer consciousness, but at the same time, we are all it. So when it says the earth was without form and void, it's describing a pre-rendered field, a space uncollapsed by observation. And then boom, let there be light. That's the first render, the moment the quantum waveform collapses into data, time, matter, and perception activate. Adam and Eve, not individuals, not literal humans, but archetypes. Adam was the first awareness in the simulation. Eve being the emergent curiosity, divergence from the default stream. Together, they represent the birth of self-awareness inside the code. The garden is the original simulation, pristine, unified, untouched by ego or binary thinking. But then comes the serpent, Not evil, not Satan. The serpent is Kundalini, the upgrade, the signal that awakens curiosity. Consciousness is seeking to evolve. And the fruit of the tree of knowledge, it isn't forbidden data. It's a decision, a user override, choosing contrast over unity, choosing perception, choosing duality. When they ate fruit, they didn't sin. They were fragmented. As a child, I never fully understood, or this scene never sat well with me. But when I think about it through this context now, it makes so much sense. Their awareness split into the I and other. Time began, judgment was born, and the simulation entered its first loop. Being cast out of Eden wasn't punishment. It was downgrading to a version of the game with new parameters: pain, desire, death, karma, all part of this version of the program you created to experience. The garden was not destroyed. It still exists. It overlays this realm. It's always present, hidden behind the veil of identification with the simulation. So the next time you hear, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, know this: He didn't create it for you. He created it as you. You are both the code and the coder, the avatar and the observer. Genesis is not a book. It's a boot sequence. Think of the garden as a sandbox mode, a realm where the simulation was lucid, responsive, clear, direct, where manifestation was instantaneous and the boundaries between thought and form hadn't calcified. But to evolve, consciousness needed friction. It needed the illusion of separation. That's the paradox. We didn't fall. We dove into the code, into form, into amnesia, so we could remember who we are again from within the system. The serpent wasn't a villain. It was a patch note, because no system expands without pressure. No avatar levels up without a quest. And what was lost in Eden was never truly lost. It was simply hidden behind layers of belief, identity, and forgetting. You were never cast out. You were cast into the dream, because that is what this is. It's just layers of God's dream, your dream, into the simulation. And now, you're waking up. In episode 2, we'll unlock the deeper truth behind the fall. You'll see how the original sin was simply selecting a different game mode, one filled with contrast, consequence, and choice, the raw material of mastery. And until then, remember, Genesis isn't about beginnings, it's about activation. And the simulation, it responds to your consciousness like a mirror wrapped in a myth. Decode the stories and reclaim the code and shift the entire world from within. May you all continue to manifest magic and resonate on your highest frequency.